Major General, always good to see you and your read on where things stand now, end of day 16, and we're seeing more maneuverability now from the Russians with that convoy that is now moving in closer and closer to encircle the capital.
Well, Todd, as we enter week three, we've seen an absolute fiasco as a campaign, but unfortunately, it appears like the Russians are starting to learn because now they're trying to encircle Kiev, where the spirit of the Ukrainian defense is there with people we've just heard, like in the previous report, and President Zelensky, and they will try to stop him from talking, if not push him out. At the same time, Dnipro is now being attacked from the south, which is just a further, advances of their most successful front, which is from the south. And most disconcerting are the attacks on the two western cities in western Ukraine, which could be where the Russians are trying to now to interdict on the supply chain that is fueling the Ukrainian defense, which is having a great effect.
Yeah, be blunt with us, General, if I can ask you as well as the Ukrainians have done in the first 2.5 weeks or so. Can they survive a full-scale attack on the capital?
Well, I don't think it's the short answer is if Mariupol is any example, yes, they can last out, and even if the Russians take the city, they will not destroy the spirit and the will of these people. These people will give up terrain, but they will not give up the fight for their country. And Zelensky is leading them by example. And even if he leaves Kiev, the fight does not end. And I think, the Russians can take as much terrain as they want. They will fight in an insurgency for a very long time. And that is just a statement of the will and determination of the Ukrainians, which Putin has completely underestimated.
I'm curious what you're going to be watching for now in the days ahead, General Fraser.
I'm going to be watching for how much pressure comes on Kiev with that convoy. How much shelling do they do to try to get and silence Zelensky? I want to see how much they are going to be attacking cities of the West to stop the resupply. This is a war of resupply right now. Who can resupply their forces over the sustained period of the next couple of weeks? Because as the weather gets better, it gets worse for the Russians to move across Ukraine other than on the roads. And the Ukrainians are very effective at destroying Russian convoys on the road. So watch for attacks in the West, watch for Kiev, and watch for the weather.
We know, of course, that Vladimir Putin doesn't care much about world opinion, and the outrage is growing by the hour over his invasion. On the other hand, as those images continue to come in of civilians being injured, being killed, and basically in the case of Mariupol and elsewhere, heavy shelling going on and cities being really attacked in a way that we have not seen thus far in this conflict. Does that change the calculus at all for the West, General Fraser, where they may start to be a bit bolder when it comes to what they're doing? We know, as you mentioned, they're supplying the Ukrainians with lots of anti-tank missiles and other weapons across that land border with Poland, but that they may choose to bring about more provocative actions, for example, in the face of these images we're seeing of Ukrainians being killed.
Well, let's be clear that the Russians are purposely targeting civilians. They targeted that children's hospital with what probably was a missile that was of huge size. They're targeting what sounds to be like some psychiatric hospital in Kharkiv. The Russians are doing this to traumatize the Ukrainian people, and that's a war crime, quite simply. And they don't care about the world opinion about this. They are doing it to try to prosecute their own campaign. It's a play out of the old Russian playbook. On the Western side, the President of the United States said that any U.S. engagement would be World War III if they start going after the Russians. So what we are going to do in the West is probably much of what we are seeing right now is just give Ukrainian everything we can on the ground and just keep ratcheting up the sanctions so that we create as much unrest in Russia and do as much harm and damage to their economy to get Putin's attention to disengage from Ukraine, because from that point of view, that's about all the West seems to be willing to do at this stage in the game.